Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Genuine Chit-Chat. This week, I'm talking to a buddy, Jack. Now, just to clarify, in this right now, I sound quite rough because my hay fever's been acting up horrendously, and last night I was out drinking, so I'm fairly hungover. So apologies for the lack of enthusiasm. I am trying. But in this episode, I want to clarify, I was completely sober. I wasn't hungover or anything like that, so I'm back to my usual sort of I don't know, eccentric self, I guess. So this is going to be a bit of a shorter intro, just because I want to survive and try and get this episode out. So in this one, this is part one of the chat, and we talk about Scotland, because Jack's got family in Scotland, so we talk about sort of the differences between Scotland and England a little bit. We talk about the cinema and movies a little bit. We brush upon the Second Amendment, influence on music, including sort of the black culture influence on music. We touch on that. We talk about motorcycle as well as car accidents. Jack's been in 2 motorcycle accidents, I think, and he talks about those. We also discuss focusing on differences and similarities between people. We talk about science. We talk about each of our dads, we also, right towards the end, we talk about his heart condition, which in part 2 we get into a lot more, but I just want to give everyone kind of like a little taste of what it is sort of about. He has a condition called heart block. I'm obviously no expert in it, but when I was talking to him about it, it's very interesting to hear about these sort of conditions and his sort of descriptions of it. So you'll hear at the end he starts describing it and whatnot, and then I kind of cut it, and then part 2 will have how it feels in a lot more depth and all these sorts of other things. So, that's what you can look forward to in part 2 as well. I think that's about it really from me. There's a promo I'm going to play in a minute, which is by some guys in the Black podcast. They're absolutely phenomenal. I've shared them on social media a few days ago, I believe. So when this comes out, it'll be a few days ago because I'm recording on the day. Man, this hangover's not doing me well, and I'm rambling, so I'm sorry. In the Black podcast, they're fantastic. They're one of the few indie pods, which I've listened to quite a few sort of indie podcasts, not as popular ones, and a lot of them are really good, but some of them haven't really struck a chord with me. But In the Black is just fantastic. Since I started listening to it, I just can't stop. So I'm going to play their promo. The chat, as usual, will happen with me and Jack, and then I'll be back at the end briefly just to talk about part 2 and whatnot. So, thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. iTunes reviews, if anyone listens to podcasts, the usual sort of thing people ask for. So, on with the show.
What's up, family? It's your boy Big O, Mr. In the Black himself, host of the In the Black podcast. Join me and my co-host, Phil the Orange Crush.
Hey.
And Rick Hustle Hard.
Hey.
As we discuss the current events, social issues, and hot topics going on in your Black world. Everything from love to politics, entertainment, financial empowerment, and much more. And all from the perspective of 3 Black working professionals and family men. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and pretty much anywhere else you can stream your podcast from. So come join in on our conversation. And as always,
informed, intelligent,
in the Black.
Welcome to Genuine Chit-Chat, where we have honest conversations with interesting people. And I'm your host, Mike Burton.
It's kind of focusing on you, this goes double vision, focusing on this, everything else goes double vision.
Well, that's the thing with having a mic in front of you. It's one of those, like, with Amazon, I find, like, people go, oh, it's killing retail, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, but you have to understand, none of us have any fucking money. Yeah. Like, I still need to buy shit. I haven't got any money to buy it with. So, might as well get on started. I've started recording, so let's see if the audio volume's going to be all right. Hello, guys. It's Mike from, obviously, Genuine Chit-Chat, and my guest today is Jack.
Hello.
Hello there. They can't see you waving, Jack. Don't ever do a hand gesture in this room, ever. It's despicable. This is much like one of the ones I did with my buddy Johnny and Bradley, where I haven't really got any subjects in mind, really. I mean, Jack's an interesting guy who knows a lot of things. So we'll see where this conversation takes us, unless it's shit, and then no one will hear it. I'm joking, I'll probably release it anyway. I was going to say, at the start, before we started, checked on the recorder, I said to you, like, what other jobs have you had? And you said the only job you've had is Uber.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that, like... It's Uber Eats, isn't it? Like
yeah, Uber
delivery.
Eats, and I've worked with Deliveroo as well.
So how long's that been? Like,
Since August last year.
is that the only time you've had a job?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How have
Managed
you?
to sail through life somehow.
How
without
I
a
was
job.
about to say, how have you managed that? That's like
Wizardry. Pure wizardry.
magic.
Yeah. A little bit of inheritance here helps along the way.
Ah, I see. Well, did if you don't really asking delving into the real deep questions, did
it's
one
fine.
of your close family members pass away?
Yeah, it was my father.
Oh, similar
Yeah.
to me then, in a way. Do
Yeah.
you mind me asking when or?
Good question. To 2014.
Oh, so it's quite recent.
Yeah.
I think actually I hung out with you or Justin or around that sort of time.
Yeah,
Someone
probably.
mentioned it, I think. Yeah, because obviously my dad died 2013, I think it was.
Yeah.
So it's pretty close, actually. But
Yeah.
obviously you're a bit older than I am. Obviously mine died of, mine passed away of cancer.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you mind me asking what kind of cancer?
It was breast cancer. of all
Really?
Things, yeah.
Oh,
So
I think one
don't think you're immune to it if you're a bloke.
Yeah, I think 1 in 4 men actually.
It's quite rare. I think it's only around about 700 odd cases a year in the
Oh,
UK.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I must
So
have heard.
it's fairly rare.
Okay, I must have heard of like someone told me it once, but the problem is when people tell you statistics, it's like
Yeah, you don't want to believe them.
you can never really know.
If someone told you or if you read it on Wikipedia, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Like Wikipedia is certain things on Wikipedia can be all right sources, but other ones are like nah. It's
No,
a
I
little
don't
bit.
trust it.
Yeah, you don't trust it at all. Conspiracy theorist hat on. Like, don't trust the government. Don't trust Wikipedia. Don't get a job. Be off the grid completely. What did you Did you go to college and stuff then?
I was at college for about a month and a half, 2 months.
Right.
Because I failed English and maths GCSE.
Right.
So they made me reset those. And to bump up all the courses and all that, I had to do public services, which is basically training for military or the police or anything like that.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I had my motorbike crash, fucked my ankle, and couldn't do it anymore.
So what happened? I haven't heard about this motorbike crash
Yeah.
because just to clarify for people listening, like me and Jack know each other through my brother Justin, and we basically, I think whenever we hang out, we're just always mullered. Or
Yes.
more so, I'm usually the more mullered one. Just
I only appear maybe once every 2 months.
yeah, just like appear out of the dusk, and it's like, oh, Jack's here, and then he's gone again. It's like, see you later. It's like the blue moon. Yeah, well, so I obviously, one of the good things about this podcast is I know so little about you in a way
Yeah.
that it can just ask anything. So with your motorcycle incident, what happened there?
That was, when was that? That's 2008, I think it was, 2009. I'd been out all day and I was speeding most of the day. Don't do that. Don't do it, people. And yeah, at this point I was only doing 30 miles an hour. And the car just pulled straight out in front of me, hit both my brakes. I pulled an endo where your back wheel comes off the ground.
Oh, okay.
Did 2 forward flips over the car.
Jesus.
Didn't break anything. I didn't have a single scratch or bruise on me, but I did soft tissue damage to the back of my ankle.
Oh, wow.
And, it's my ankle is now twisted off to the right hand side and pulled up slightly after 9 years. So I've got a permanent limp. My ankle, my knee, my hip, my lower back, and my left shoulder are all in pain because of it.
Oh, I see. Because well, yeah, it's weird when things like that. Like when you hurt your ankle, did you? I assume you came off the bike. You did
Yeah.
like a perfect flip. Like
No, not with the
just
bike. No.
just a perfectly flip, and you was like on the other side of the
carried on.
car. Like yeah, just keep on going. Then you just kind of get off and trip. So did you get much? Did you have insurance? Did you get much compensation or anything like that?
No, Soddle insurance compensation. I was fully comped, and the bike was probably only about 4 months old. Brand new, it costs $3,500. They gave back £1,500 all in. And it might have been slightly more than that, maybe about $2,000 once I
see.
claimed for everything that got destroyed.
Okay. And what did the person say when you like? Did they?
Oh, sorry, mate, I didn't see you. Which is the thing that everyone says when they pull out in front of a motorbike.
Yeah, well, it's like because you ride just a push bike now, don't
Yeah.
you? Because obviously you do a lot of Deliveroo and that's your job, but Uber Eats Deliveroo. So it's like already clarified that. What? So did you never learn to drive then?
No, cars, no, just motorbike. 'Cause
Did you like motorbikes from a young age then?
Yeah, my father's side of the family, all of them were into motorbikes. So it was a given. It was going to happen. I always grew up around motorbikes and biker people.
Yeah.
Knew quite a lot of Hells Angels as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've always grown up around big, loud, angry motorbikes. So it has to
they-
be done.
Are any of the people like big, loud, angry people? Or most of them quite nice.
A few of them. A few of them were big, loud, and angry, but mainly my dad's mates were kind of okay bikers. weren't trying to be angry. They were just biking for the love of it.
I see. Yeah. Well, with because you've got what's your family like? Because I know that you mentioned a brother, but have you got?
That's on my mum's side of the family. We've got different dads, so
Right.
he's a kind of opposite of me. He's not really into motorbikes or driving or anything like that, really. So
Right. Yeah, because I've got Rob and Chris, who they're funny enough, my dad's and not my mum's.
Yeah.
And then obviously I've got Justin, who's related by the law. But so you've got, how many siblings have you got then?
It's just my brother.
Oh, so it's you just. Oh, okay. So when so I'm just trying to think of like there's so many things in my head all at once, like just like so many subjects I'm thinking of. Because like
filing cabinet.
well, yeah, that's it. That's my brain. Well, it's like at my desk at work. It's just like I've just got post-it notes everywhere. And someone said to me the other day, he was like, "So you do realise that having 50 post-it notes is not the point. You may have like one or two. Like having 50, you might as well have a notebook." I was like, "You don't understand. I've got them all nice and where." And I was just thinking in my brain, I've just got like
I know where it is. It's fine. It's maxed
exactly.
out.
That's exactly it. And I've just got like a billion post-it notes.
Yeah.
And it's just like I know because I know tidbits of information.
Yeah.
Because like I know you know quite a lot about those steam engines, and we spoke, and you spoke about that when I was last at Justin's.
That's a kind of general interest. I don't really know how they work.
I'm not going to suddenly talk to you like, Jack, talk to me right now. Everything you know.
Explain the inner
about
workings of a steam engine.
Yeah.
I could probably wing it.
Well, I don't know anything, so to me, anything would sound like it's going to make sense. Because there's steam engines, and there's a lot of stuff like we talk about like black holes and like
general kind of quantum mechanics and astronomy and all of that.
And it's funny that you say general quantum mechanics. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, just dabble in a bit of quantum mechanics. It's like,
That's the thing, you kind of have to dabble because it's such a difficult subject. You can't, if you've got a quantum mechanics book, you can't read it cover to cover because the information will not stick. You've got to read a chapter and then maybe read it back again.
Yeah,
and half of it will stick. And
Yes.
you only understand about a third of that. So
yeah, it's like I remember on the odd occasion, you're just laying in bed and something just comes to mind. You go, I wonder what this is all about, and then I Google it or whatever, and then you Google it, and the explanation for it is a paragraph, and that paragraph has 10 words that you don't understand, and it's like, oh, quantum mechanics is just to do with subatomic particles, this, and this, and this. It's like, okay, I vaguely know what subatomic particles are. I don't know what any of those other things are. And then you try and Google what they are, and then the explanation for them is another 10 words that you don't know.
You do not
And it's like,
understand.
I can't fathom any of that sort of stuff. I was going to say, you said you've been up to Aberdeen quite a few times.
yeah,
before the
northeast
podcast.
of Scotland. That's my father's side of the family is from Scotland, so
Okay, so
there's still
what,
quite a lot of them up there.
how? Because I've never been to Scotland. I've been wanting to. I want to go to Scotland. I also want to go to Ireland. I've been to Wales, but Wales is basically just England. Sorry, Welsh people. I've been there. It's great. Everyone there's really nice, but it's not a huge
I got
difference.
spat at in Wales for having an English accent, so I
got
know I'm not
spat
welcome.
at?
Yeah, that's Cardiff for you.
Wow, I've probably only been to Cardiff. It's like one of the things I found that was strange over there is that people speak Welsh, and to me it just seems the most pointless language ever.
Well, it's our culture essentially.
Well, that's what people
because
say.
you've got Welsh, you've got Gaelic, Irish Gaelic, Scottish Gaelic. It's pronounced Gaelic, not Gaelic, and Doric, which is the main Scottish language, or it should be.
Because I only found out Scotland even had their own language. I think it was a couple of years ago. I was like, because I don't think many people. Do many people in Scotland speak?
Well, with Doric, I think it's only about 40,000 maybe still. Because Doric is the north-east around Aberdeen and all that kind of area. And the people that speak Gaelic are all up around the Hebrides and on the west side. Because the Gaelic came over from Ireland and all that. But the Irish never got as far as the east of Scotland. So
I see.
in the films, when you see people, the Scottish people, kind of like naked and blue, that's the Picts, and they're from the northwest side. No, northeast, sorry. And that's, yeah.
Well, it's like, because, like, I know people are like, oh, it's our culture and that sort of thing, and that's fair enough. But it's like a mate of mine, Alex, he lives in Wales now, and I go to see him occasionally. I saw him the other week, and it's like you drive around and all the signs are in English and Welsh.
Yeah.
But it's like, how many people can only speak Welsh?
It's not that they can only speak Welsh, it's just they don't want to get rid of their heritage.
Yeah,
So
it just to me, I understand. Like, I don't want to ever take anything away from anyone's heritage, but I'm also in the mindset of surely adding another language is kind of adding another barrier.
Yeah.
Like, there's that biblical story, and obviously I'm not a religious person. I'm pretty certain that you aren't either.
No,
but there's the Tower of Babel, which is quite interesting. Which was the idea was that everyone could speak the same language,
Yeah.
and then someone built a tower to try to get to heaven, and then God destroyed it and separated everyone and made them all speak a different language. And it's like, some people actually say there's a lot of parallels to that, and what the universal language actually was the language of code.
Yeah.
Which is quite, and that's what kind of one of the things that people.
Mathematics, along that kind of line.
Well, yeah, because like people say, like obviously almost going into quantum mechanics now. It's like the universal language to our understanding is maths.
Yeah,
it's like,
binary, ones and zeros.
Yeah, exactly, because it's basically 1 and 0 just means essentially on off almost. Not quite that simplistic, but in layman's terms, it's kind of like on off. And if you have like a billion options, and it was like Josh was talking to me about this because Josh and I do a mini series called Science But Simple.
Yeah.
And we did one about light bulbs, one about gravity and the moon, tides, and that sort of thing. And then one we recently did that I released.
There's nothing simple about gravity.
Well, no, but we try to explain it, well, he tries to explain it to me in a simple way. And I'm just like, because I don't know much about science, unfortunately. But we were talking, the last one we did was debunking myths. He wanted to do one about that. We did it was like cancer, GMOs, and I literally released this episode like 3 days ago. I should know this better. Cancer, GMO, Big Pharma. And we were talking about cancer, and he was discussing cancer genes, things like that. And he was also talking about with GMOs, it's like there was like a certain type of rice that was really susceptible to, that didn't have a certain protein in, I think, or something. And they genetically modified it, so it did have this protein in. And it was almost just like, it was almost flicking this was one on-off switch to on, or it's like there was something that they didn't even have in their system, and you just plonk it in. And it's like, it's obviously, go listen to that podcast because I'm probably destroying it. It's like my explanation, but like with binary, obviously works for all our computers and stuff, and then you get the language of how we can work out how things work is you can do it with binary. And like, if everyone could not speak binary, but like code is like a
universal language. It doesn't matter if you're speaking English or Arabic. Code is still code.
Exactly. So it's one of those where some people, there's some theories, there's like, simulation theory. We're all like, we're in a simulation, basically. Where someone says, you could in theory do this with most things, so it's not quite that, but it's quite funny to listen to. You can basically, you can go on a website, and it basically tells you, I think it's 10 or 20 words in the Bible. It's like, change God to programmer, I think Jesus to something else, and literally got 20, and if you read the Bible, it makes basically complete sense, but it's, if it was a simulation, and then the whole Tower of Babel story, is all about coding and things, and it's like, we could all, university, we learn this language, and then the beings in the simulation basically stripped it away from us, and I'm slowly learning it again. It's like, I don't believe we're in a simulation, but it's like a fun thought experiment.
Yeah, it's
we're
all just running in a giant game of SimCity.
Maybe, yeah, that would explain a lot of things, wouldn't it? Just like when you walk into a room and forget everything immediately. Even though I think the reason for that is actually because your brain remembers locations above like chronological events, like it like things in this room, for example, my memories aren't linked necessarily to a time in my life. They're linked to locations. So when you walk through a doorway, your brain is basically kind of flicking to the next location in a sense. So you walk through a doorway and you go, I completely forgot what I was doing, because your brain's kind of catching up. It's like, oh, now I need to remember things in here. And it's like, But yeah, back to the language thing. I'm game with anyone learning language, but I just think like, surely it's another thing to learn, which it's just like, it just separates people in a sense. It's like, we should all be striving to all the world try and learn one language.
With all these translation apps though these days, we're probably only about 20, 30 years away from something that will quite easily translate.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's already, it might be even closer than that. I mean, I think the Google Pixel or the Samsung S9 or whatever the hell it is at the moment, one of them comes with, or both of them come with earbuds, and they translate language in real time.
Yeah.
But obviously they're not perfect, because they can't be, because of obviously accents. I mean, you go to different, I think it's like places all across the world they have it, but like Italy, like northern Italy and southern Italy, they're
so different. Well, you just got to look at the UK, haven't you?
Oh, well,
and also regional dialects as well. You've got to take in consideration those.
Slang
I'd like
and
to
stuff.
see someone from America trying to use one of these translation things on somebody from Manchester.
Oh yeah,
something like that. Or
well, it's like I watched a film.
Newcastle.
Well, exactly. So I watched a film. Obviously, it's Scottish, but it's called Sweet 16, and we watched it in media class at school, and it was. Their Scottish accents were so strong, we had to put subtitles on.
Yeah.
And they're speaking the same language.
That's all of my relatives up in the northeast. There's one of them, his name's Martin, and even though I've grown up around him, I still only catch maybe 2/3 of what he's saying. I would love to see somebody from down south, because none of my friends have ever met that side of my family. I would love to see just the sheer confusion on somebody's face as he starts talking, because he no idea.
Yeah, it's is the culture up in Scotland like that much different? Obviously, everyone knows the stereotypes of haggis and things like that, but
that's nowadays with the younger generations, that's less so. But it seems that because all the relatives I've got there are basically my father's aunties and uncles, or my kind of grands, brothers and sisters, and they're largely into that. They very much kind of go on along the stereotype kind of lines. These stereotypes come from somewhere.
Oh, well, that's the problem with stereotypes, yeah.
But nowadays, everyone's becoming more kind of generalised, and it doesn't matter if you're Scottish or English. Kind of 19-year-olds are 19-year-olds, and they're all becoming Americanised.
Well, that's pretty much it, isn't it? Because with the internet, I mean, it's one of the... It's a weird thing with the internet, because I have a lot of dissonance with it. I think, generally speaking, it is a great thing. I think it's probably about at least 70% great and 30% shit, I'd probably say. But it's like... for every time you hear about a load of internet trolls or loads of people attacking someone online, or like, the rise in flat earthers or neo-Nazis and things like that, it's like, that's really shit. But the sheer amount of people whose lives get saved, when you get the parent whose kid's really ill with cancer and they just share a picture on Facebook.
Crowdfunding and all that.
Exactly, and it's like, that's beautiful. And it's even like lower key things, like there's a band called The Ghost Inside, and I think it's about 4 years ago now, they were in this really horrendous tour bus accident.
Yeah.
And obviously in America, because free
health insurance.
Yeah, exactly. If you haven't got health insurance, and obviously healthcare is
or
not
the wrong
free,
type of health insurance.
but yeah, exactly, because they're very easy to fuck you over. It's like you can be completely fucked. You can have, it's like, I think the average birth there is like $30,000, and cesarean is like $50,000.
People have to remortgage their house sometimes just to have a child.
Yeah, and it's like, what? And it's like, when if anyone ever argues against like healthcare, it's like, okay, you walk down the street, some random bloke beats the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Right? As well as having to deal with all that trauma and pain, I never have to worry about my finances being fucked up. But in America, it's like, I'd be so scared. Everyone's got a gun, and you don't have health insurance. It's like, or you have to obviously pay for health insurance. Like, what? It's like, surely you think in Britain, it'd almost be like, in Britain, you don't need health insurance. No one's going to be dangerous. We're all just Ponzi, but like the stereotype, more so just stabbings. But
But there was that statistic in the news recently that I think the murder rate in London is higher than that of New York at the moment.
Really?
Yeah, we've overtaken New York for violence.
Lucky us. I heard something that was you're equally likely to get mugged in London or New York, but in New York you're like 56 times more likely to be killed because either you or the other person's got a gun.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing with the gun laws. It's like, I spoke about gun laws quite a lot on this podcast, but it just still ironically triggers me. It's like, I don't think it necessarily just take all the guns away, but it's like, more, how can they just argue against more restrictions?
I've said this before, that if America wants to keep their guns, I mean, when was it? The Constitution written was like 1700
1776, I think.
When they had flintlock single-shot pistols.
Yeah.
If they want guns, give them flintlock single shots and muskets.
Yeah.
It's going to take down the attrition rate of drive-by shootings, because it takes you 45 seconds to reload.
Be less of a
People are going to learn to shoot straight. There's no just random firing from the hip, here, there and everywhere, automatic rifles over 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
No, single shot. Dueling, that's what you need to go back to.
That's it. As do people have some sort of like issue, it's just like slap each other in the face with a glove and take 10 paces and then turn around with a little flintlock. That'd be good. Imagine how many issues like if people get argue too much, instead of like civil court, you just go and have a duel. Oh man. But then you get those people who are just complete assholes who are like really quick with a gun.
Well, there's some amazing duels back in the day. There was I think I saw this on QI. There was two people in hot air balloons with pistols or elephant rifles or something like that.
To shoot each other's balloons?
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing. That's the greatest thing I think I've ever heard.
That's how it's done.
Oh, hey, because you can either
try the best duels in this country.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine that. Like, you imagine like the panic. Like you look up and you're like the holes, and you're like, oh god, and you're like trying to aim and trying to shoot this balloon, but it's like, that sounds like a right laugh. I'm supposed there's like a video game about that, or maybe there is because I'm out of touch now with video games.
Yeah, no, I don't know anymore. I played one of the latest Call of Duties, realised I'm too old for it.
You're too
Couldn't
old.
do it. Yeah, I was just getting absolutely owned by 13-year-olds. It's one of the kind of new kind of sciencey ones where you're kind of half in space and you've got jetpacks and all this stuff.
Advanced warfare, I think it's called.
You bounce off walls and all this, and it's can't do it.
You remember the good old days in Call of Duty where everyone's faces look like it's just like a triangle basically with like a one graphic. It was like skin colour, 2 like black smudges for eyes, and then like a smudge for their nose, and a mouth that barely moved.
That's why I loved Battlefield 1 so much, because it's just First World War. I can deal with that level of technology.
Yeah, not too crazy. When it's not only you have to know about like vaguely about guns, but it's also there's so many things they invent for the game. It's like you can almost like not wing it. In a sense. I mean, I used to play video games, probably before college when I started dating girls. I'd play video games all the time. It would be like get in from school or college or whatever, and just immediately. It would normally be Halo 3 would be it. Me and the guys. We just get in. The amount of hours we racked up on that game is silly.
Yeah, that was the same with me, Justin and Joe. We just used to sit there playing Halo on Legendary.
Oh, yeah.
On a Friday, just for like 9 solid hours.
Yeah.
Just complete the story about 3 times over.
We even make Kieran used to do that. We just constantly play like the Ark and the Covenant on Halo 3 and that sort of thing. Yeah, because Justin came over... I don't know, might be quite a few months ago now, but we just played Halo Combat Anniversary. You know, it's the HD remake of it.
I've not seen that.
Really? It's on Xbox, and you can press a button and it changes back to the original graphics.
Oh wait, yeah, I did see the adverts for that. I wanted to get that one.
It's really good. It's really good. It's on Xbox 360. Do you have an Xbox?
No, not anymore.
Yeah, because I used to play video games a lot in college, and then I got a girlfriend. Obviously, I had a bit less time, and then I came out of college and got a job. And normally, when I was single, I just play video games a lot.
Yeah.
And when I was in a long-term relationship at the place I lived before, and we split up about 2 years ago, this coming June-ish. And after we split, I was like, I had quite a few games that I bought and had a chance to play. Nothing against her, obviously. I enjoyed my time with her more than video games. But I was like, fuck yes. And for like months, I was just playing video games loads. I was like, I remember. And then I was in a relationship for 3 months like last year, but we're just mates now and stuff. But it's like now I've got a podcast and I've got like my job where my previous job at Whizbit, where I did cassette production, CDs and stuff. Yeah. It was flexi hours. So if one day you're just like, I can't be fucked with this.
That's the glorious thing about my job. So I'm technically self-employed.
Oh yeah, because
but there's no benefits.
Well, yeah.
No pension, no sick pay, none of that.
No,
just turn up when I want to, do the hours I want to.
Yeah, does that mean like in theory with your job you can just like
I could work from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. if I wanted to.
Do you get paid delivery or by the hour?
Per delivery.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough. I mean, I suppose it's like, do you get paid like, not to delve into your finances, but like enough,
right. Yeah, if you put the hours in, you can make over 120 pounds a day if it's busy enough.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that's probably 8 till 10.
Yeah.
So it's a long day, but obviously you take a certain amount of break, and obviously it's not constant because you turn up at the restaurant and you can be waiting around for 15, 20 minutes occasionally to get a delivery, especially between after between 1 and 4, it kind of quiets down, but before and after that it kind of hots up a bit.
Yeah, well, I suppose this also can also be like a lunch break in a sense, but you must stay quite fit with a.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
Yeah, well, it's I was going to say with the video game thing, when I start my work now, I don't get home till like 6, and now that I've been doing, I don't go to the gym anymore, but I don't know if Justin's mentioned it, but I've got the punching bag and I've got like dumbbells and stuff upstairs, which are Justin's. And so after work each day, I get in, normally try and do like half an hour, 40 minutes of exercise and then cook dinner and that sort of shit. And it's like, well, I do that and then I'll do the podcast, and obviously this takes up quite a bit of time when I'm not recording. I'm also having to do stuff on social media.
Yeah.
I'm changing my audio provider, which is making me I'm making do that manually. So it's all these sort of things, and obviously I'm in quite a few Facebook groups about podcasting, and there's people who talk and ask questions about collaborations or just questions about podcasting, and I want to be part of the community because I just don't want to be that dick who's just like, hey, I'm only going to be involved when we're self-promoting. It's like no one wants to be that guy. No. So I've just got a lot less time, and it's like I got the Crash Bandicoot remake, and it was amazing and a lot of fun. And the Star Wars Battlefront 2, because I'm obviously a massive Star Wars nerd. And then, what was the game? Oh, Darksiders 2. That's a really good game. And that came on the PlayStation Store, where it's like when you've got the PlayStation Network, every month you get a couple of free games. And I got that and I played it like one night for like 4 hours. I was like, I love it. I was like, I'm going to make sure I have enough time to play it and stuff. And now it's just like, I don't at all. Like, I haven't got time for it. It's like, normally if I get in, it's like, I just want to kind of collapse in front of something, and it's like I still love video games, excuse me, and whenever a new Star Wars one comes out, I'll be buying it because I love Star Wars too much to not play it. But you have to you don't. I didn't realize. I did realize, but it didn't kind of hit home. Now, when I was younger, you invest so much time in video games.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah,
Like
from the age of
Skyrim.
about 14 to 17, all
Yeah.
I did was video games all day long.
Well, yeah, because there's certain games like the multiplayer ones, like Halo and things like that, where you
Yeah.
can just play. You can play for 6 hours. It's a different game every time with different skill levels. The map
Yeah.
obviously randomizes with different weapons and that sort of stuff. And then with other games like Skyrim, Fallout, that sort of thing, I think Skyrim I was on like somewhere between 100 and 200 hours, which it might
Yeah, I
be
think
more
I was
than
the same with that with Fallout 3.
Yeah, Fallout 3. I
I
got
put
every
A
achievement on that.
large amount of time into that, and New Vegas as well.
Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas.
I got all the achievements on both those games, played all the DLC and stuff, and I love them. And it's like, it's so easy because it's like, you go, oh, I'm just gonna, okay, there's a quest line, I'll just walk there, and then there's like 20 spots in between there and there, and then
Yeah.
you just start exploring, and then you realise it's been about 7 hours, you've done no main quest line, and you've just gained about 20 side quests, and you're like, I'm actually further away from the end than I was a minute ago, like when I started.
Yeah, you look up and it's gone dark outside.
Yeah, or then you look up and there's gone light outside.
Yeah, that's worse.
That's the worst part, yeah. So now I do still love video games, but like with Netflix and like when I hang out with people, I normally watch shit. So like
Yeah.
Kieran over, we watch all the Marvel series. You know, with Josh we watch anime. We watch Full Metal Alchemist, and that's amazing. And like I've got the Odeon card, so I go to the cinema quite a lot. And
Yeah.
all these sorts of watching stuff is a lot more low key. And in all honesty, as well, there's very few people who don't like watching something,
Yeah.
whereas there's only certain people who really like playing video games.
Yeah, and they've got their own genre of video
Exactly,
games.
yeah. Like with the guys, like some of the best games to play multiplayer, generally the guys that are really into gaming don't like them that much because they're too easy and too casual. So it's like, I don't want to play like a really easy Mario game because it's piss easy. But when you want to play something really difficult, but you can't when you have your mates that don't really play games that much because
Yeah.
then it's just a slaughter fest.
Yeah.
It's quite fun when you're when you're the good one, you're just killing everyone, but no one wants to play with you then.
No.
Yeah, it's just like I just don't have much time. Like I was thinking, like I'd love to learn a new language. I say it.
I've tried that. It just doesn't stick.
Oh, yeah, that's
Most
the
days I wake up, I can't even speak English, let alone French or something like that.
What language you try and speak?
Well, I tried learning French because my father had a degree in French.
Okay.
And my grandfather, he spoke a bit of French, so it just seemed like the natural progression.
Mm.
I was thinking about Doric, that Scottish language I was talking about as well, but that's savagely hard as well. And there's only 30-something thousand people that speak it, so it's not like you're going to bump into anybody and have a good conversation with them.
Just suddenly, hey, because everyone there speaks British.
Yeah, the
English.
languages to learn really are either French, Spanish, or Chinese. Because
I was going to say
because
Chinese.
with English under your belt as well, you can speak to at least 3/4 of the population of the planet if you've got any of those languages under your belt.
Oh yeah. I think Chinese Mandarin has got the most amount of people speaking in the world.
It's
Like,
over 1 billion.
well, yeah, I think English, you've got more nations that speak English because
Yeah.
like basically, I think relatively everywhere in Europe, their second language is English,
Yeah.
except Belgium, where half is French and half is German. But it's like
Belgium. Belgium was a good one. We went to Belgium, and
been there.
yeah, my dad being able to speak French, just asked somebody for directions, and they got so angry because they were Flemish. They didn't speak French.
I see.
And they did not like that. So you can have some faux pas along that line.
Oh man, the one time it's like, yes, I can speak French, I can do it, and that's
Yeah.
like, oh, sorry. It's like, with obviously Europe, everyone relatively, it's not everyone, a lot of people speak English. as a second
Scandinavia, especially, a lot of their kind of second languages definitely English.
language. Yeah, well, I went to, I know it's not Scandinavia, but I went to Iceland
I've
a
been
couple
there
weeks ago. You've been to
twice.
Iceland as well?
Yeah, and everyone there speaks English.
Yeah, perfectly. They speak
Yeah.
better than most people over here do.
Yeah, they learn it from the age of 6 to 16.
Yeah.
Compulsory in school.
Yeah.
And then everyone else continues because it's tourism, and everyone that goes there,
Well, yeah.
tourist-wise, speaks English, basically.
Exactly,
So
and like the majority of the there's the band Kaleo and the band of Monsters and Men, and Sigur something, I can't remember his name's Sigur something or other. Of Monsters and Men and Kaleo are both English speaking, but they're from Iceland.
Yeah.
But Sigur something or other, Sigur Ross I think it is. They speak Icelandic, and their language, they're like one of the few. Them and Bjork are like, they're from Iceland as well, and it's like other than them, basically all the movies are in English. Like,
Yeah.
not all, obviously, but the majority of movies are in English, and relatively speaking, every film that comes out has at least got English subtitles.
Yeah.
So it's just like media-wise, I feel it's one of the things of feeling privileged. Of like the luck would have it where born in, or we're born, we're alive in 2018.
Yeah.
We're younger than like 50, or younger. I think you're. How old are you? Like 28?
27.
27. Yeah. So it's like we're younger than 30. We're white males living in like
In
the south of
southern
Britain.
England.
Yeah, south of England. It's like there's not really many other spots that would be more optimal.
Unless you were living in California.
Well, yeah, that'd be enough. But then guns. So I don't know, because it's like America scares me. I want to go over there at some point. But
I went to Florida when I was 15.
How's that?
It was, and well, I couldn't stand the heat. I was, the single whitest person on the face of the planet.
Well, you're also very skinny as well. I'm surprised you're scared of the heat.
Give up so much heat. If I eat, that's it. I don't absorb energy. I just create heat, which is why I'm so skinny. I put weight on. Actually, saying that, I went to Florida for 3 weeks and lost half a stone. That's yeah.
Because you sweat it out.
Yeah, nobody's gone on holiday to Florida and lost weight before. But we were walking down one of the main streets in this place called Kissimmee, I think it is, around that kind of area. There was this glass-fronted shop, and everything inside it was on kind of like glass shelves, and it was all black. I was like, what's that? Because I don't see too good. I don't bother wearing glasses. And got closer and closer, and it's just shelves and shelves of fully automatic assault rifles.
Really?
Yeah, and it's madness, utter madness. And we went into Walmart or one of those places, and the entire back shelf was just handgun ammunition.
I've heard you can just go into Walmart. Like I went.
They're cracking down on it a bit more these days, but
I think statewide,
05, 06, whenever that was, it was just bullets everywhere.
Well, things like states now are starting to kind of realise that, well, if the Trump administration aren't going to do a federal level thing, we're going to have to start doing it.
Even individual shops are doing that. As well.
Really?
The sporting shops, they've banned assault rifles. They just do handguns and shotguns now, I think.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where a few podcasts I've listened to have mentioned this, and they just go like, if let's use Britain as an example, if someone tried to introduce legalising guns in Britain in the way it is in America now, everyone would be like, are you fucking insane?
Yeah.
But because they've always had it, like my Second Amendment, it's like Josh brought up an absolutely fantastic point. Actually, I don't know if you mentioned it on the podcast, but it was he was like, right now think about this, right? People don't want to change the Second Amendment.
Yes,
it's an amendment.
Yeah,
like that's
amended from the original
it's literally,
Constitution.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this isn't. It's just like it's so ironic that people say it, but it's like not ironic in like a funny way. It's like it's literally a change of the original, and you're saying that you can't change the change. It's like, what? It's like any sense, at all. And obviously, back, even go back and like, I think it was after the wars is when automatic rifles became in a lot more and that sort of thing. So it's just like, go back 100 years, people didn't have assault rifles, so obviously not. As you said earlier, with the flintlock pistols would be. Oh yeah, no. Trying to like rob someone with a flintlock pistol. It's like, if I can time it right and he can shoot one bullet gone, I can get away. Yeah. But in America, it's I remember when I first heard about being able to buy guns in Walmart, and I was like, what? No. And I just went on my phone, and I literally in England, I just went on Walmart on my phone, typed in guns, and it just showed me. I was like, what? What the? It's like you get delivered. It's like, what the fuck is that?
I know there was one bank that if you opened an account with them, they gave you an AK-47. And I think they gave you ammunition as well. So yeah, you could walk out in your bank, having deposited your money, and gained an assault rifle.
That's one of those things where it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It sounds like a joke. Yeah. Like people are going to look back on them because we're in this big. I think because of the internet and basically now the corporations can't hide everything anymore, and like there's so much interconnectivity, as you were saying, with the people up in Scotland who are now becoming more Americanized. I think it's just like it's globalism in a way where it's like everyone's becoming a lot more the lines between culture are being blurred, and we're in this transitionary period at the moment where there's people complaining about cultural appropriation and things like that, and it's just like I wouldn't want to offend anyone. I wouldn't like want to do blackface or anything because it's just horrendously offensive. But like if I want to like hip hop music, or like, my favorite movie would be Black Panther or something like that, it's like I shouldn't feel bad because I like another culture. The whole point is you were, if we use sort of I don't want to say the blacks because that's the worst way to describe a group of people like that, just to generalize so bad. But unfortunately, I don't want to say African Americans because I'm talking about British people as well. So it's just like, and you can't just say African Americans because also people from Jamaica, and so
people of African descent. Yeah.
Let's go down that route. The problem is as soon as I start talking about this, also I end up just digging myself in a bigger hole, and I'm just like, but for so many years they were segregated, and obviously slavery was horrendous, and then they were segregated. It took ages to get rights. There's still a lot of issues with racism, a lot more in America, I think, than over here. But I'm not fully sure because I'm white, so I don't have to suffer through that sort of jazz. But it's like for so long they were segregated, and obviously then they got their own culture, and they don't want sort of the man or the white man taking their culture away from them. It's like it's a weird one because I'm obviously in no position to discuss this sort of
There's so much of our modern culture, our kind of white modern culture, is influenced by kind of black African kind of culture from
hip hop,
only kind of 50
rap,
years ago. Yeah,
and jazz,
even blues music, and all that. That's created so many kind of modern day kind of metal and rock bands. Out of all of that.
Yeah, it's I'm just gonna move the mic and make a probably stupid noise on that on the recording now. It's like I want everyone to kind of. I like people having an identity. Obviously, that's fine. And a lot of people, when they are black, they have the identity of being black. And obviously, I'm white, so I'm in a majority that's had like essentially ultimate power. So it's like
for the past 1,000 years, especially in this era.
Exactly. So I don't need. I wouldn't have. There's a comedian called Tom Segura who goes into this on a Netflix special he's got released recently, and it's fantastic. And it's like there's no such thing as white guy loyalty. You know what I mean? There's black guy loyalty. There's minority sort of loyalty to each other because you're a race that you're connected because you've been you're a minority and that you've had a lot of shit to deal with in your lives. It's like we haven't. We're the ones causing the shit most of the time. So it's like there's no white guy loyalty. So it's like we don't quite understand culture in the same way. And it's like especially with Britain, like it's ironic that obviously America is quite racist in a lot of ways. When it's like you go back 300 years ago, you weren't even there, sort of thing. Like you were literally all immigrants. Like there was
every single one of them.
Yeah, it was like there were people who did live there in the natives.
Well, no, not every single one of them. Yeah, like you say, the natives.
Yeah, natives, and then you wiped most of them out. Like I think most of them were actually killed by disease, and that wasn't by choice.
I think that was mainly in South Africa that happened.
Really?
Yeah, it's, North Africa. North America, even. Sorry.
Yeah.
They that was mainly being shot with guns.
I think it was probably like a combination of all of it. But it's like obviously we both fully agree that we killed a lot of people. Like we went over there, slaughtered a lot, and a lot of raping and horrendous pillaging and that sort of stuff. And it's like talk about immigration. It's like you literally immigrated to a country, slaughtered everyone, and now I'm not going to let immigrants in. It's like, is this because you think that immigrants can do what you did? It's
we went to your country, stole all your natural resources, fucked off the second we had no need for you, and now we're just completely ignoring you.
Yeah, it's like, no, we don't want to let people in. Why would we do that? It's like, because you wouldn't be there if it wasn't. It's like people who are British when you get like Britain First on Facebook and sort of BNP and that sort of shit. And it's like, don't want to let these immigrants in. It's like, well, first of all, we're an island, okay? We don't have much fucking choice, as in, you can't actually get here unless you're born here. And being the whole birthright is just such utter bullshit. Because it's
pure luck and chance that you were born where you are.
100%. Yeah. It's like you're just lucky enough to shoot out of a vagina and live till now. It's like you can choose where you live. You're not born and there's some sort of starting screen where you can choose where you're born, you know?
Yeah. Because people, especially over the past couple of years, have had so much problem with Polish immigrants. And this is ridiculous. I mean, the amount they helped us during the Second World War, defeat Nazism, we had entire fighter squadrons based by Polish people. After the Second World War, a large proportion of our doctors and nurses who treated what would be our generation's grandparents from tuberculosis. 3 of my grandparents were treated by doctors from Poland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for tuberculosis. So I have absolutely no problem with Polish. Without them, I probably wouldn't be alive today.
Yeah.
So I'm all for immigration. And it just enriches everyone's culture because you learn more about everyone else, and it just makes life easier for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, I don't necessarily believe there should be a complete open border, let everyone in unregulated. It should be like everything. I'm not one for government. I think the government is shit in many, 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 many ways. Yes. But I think if you got the right government in power and they had the right amount of power in the right things, and you took all the money out of government in that sort of way, and there was a lot more regulation and sort of thing, it's like, allow anyone to try to get in, but when you get there has to be some sort of, obviously there already is one, but like a vetting process, that sort of thing. That's all I think. It's like, if loads of immigrants, and I think I said this, I might have said it on the podcast before, so I apologise if anyone's listening, I repeat myself, but I think it should have been something like, say we can let in let's just say 1 million people a year for argument's sake, because I know quite a few people emigrate out of England and
I
stuff.
think the migration is about 280 to 320,000 a year. At
Oh,
the
wow.
moment.
Okay.
But over the past few years, because of Brexit especially, there's actually more people leaving
Oh, wow.
from the Eastern European kind of area than are actually arriving nowadays.
I see, yeah.
So it's
I heard it was quite
migration is
balanced.
falling.
I heard it was quite balanced for quite a while, which
but,
is the
over
ironic
the
thing.
past couple of years, especially, it's been falling.
That's
quite
really
rapidly.
interesting. Well, what I was going to say about it is just like, with it all, if you say there's 1 million people want to come in, will you just say, okay, let's say 600,000, like a 2/3-ish sort of amount, they have to have, like Australia, they have to have a certain amount of qualifications, they have to have, but then we've got like a sympathy amount, which is, there's a certain amount of people who are war-stricken refugees, and we should let in a proportion of people who don't necessarily have all the necessary qualifications, that sort of thing, but they are people who will still work all these jobs that aren't necessarily that high paid and that sort of thing. And it's just like, as you said, you put it well, it's like, I can't understand. There's the tribalism aspect of it, where people are just in tribes and they're us versus them, where it's left versus right and white versus black, all this sort of stupidness. But it's just like, if you just take a minute and think, no one chooses their skin colour, no one chooses the language they speak.
Except Michael Jackson.
Touche. People don't choose their skin colour, people don't choose the language they speak. You speaking a language before you have memory. So you get to 5, and that's when you kind of start having memories. And I can barely remember anything from the age of 5 to 10.
I think my earliest memory is around about 3.5, 4.
Yeah, because I've heard a few people. People say that you can't remember anything before 4, but I knew a few people who have like the odd thing here and there. But it's not like I can remember it like I can the last couple of years, sort of thing. It's obviously.
I've got some pretty clear memories from when I was about 3-ish.
Really?
About then, yeah.
What sort of stuff do you have?
Well, the most vivid memory I've got is my father coming home with the first car he bought after he'd had me and all that.
Yeah.
And I remember being in my front room. It was a nice kind of sunny day.
Yeah.
Slightly kind of cloud cover, as it always is in this country. And, I remember the car, blue Vauxhall Cavalier. I can almost picture the number plate. It's kind of vivid, and it's there's a kind of occasional smell or something that takes you back.
Smells apparently really linked to
smell is good for memory. It definitely takes you back. I had a push bike crash when I was probably about 6 or 7, and it gave me a kind of fat lip.
Right.
And the fat lip had a weird kind of taste/smell to it, because essentially it's the same thing, taste and smell, I think.
Yeah.
So 70% of your taste or smell comes from either.
I think it's your taste comes from your smell, because I think if you lose your sense of smell, you can't taste anymore. So I think it's that.
Yeah. And occasionally I will smell something that smells exactly like that. Yeah. And it's almost as if I've just had the crash again.
Oh, wow.
It just brings me straight back to then, kind of come straight off the handlebars and sliding along on my face. So yeah, that's smell is quite a powerful.
You've had quite a lot of issues with bikes.
You always do. You've only got 2 wheels. You're going to fall off.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, I don't know. If I have rollerblades, I know for a fact I'd fuck up.
I don't have the balance for that.
Yeah, I don't have the balance for that. But I have the balance for walking. Have you tried ice skating?
God, no.
I've tried it. I'm like worse than Bambi when he learns to walk. I'm fucking terrible. I can't even walk with ice skates on.
I'm okay walking normally on kind of snow or ice. I've kind of mastered that quite well from spending so much time in Scotland and Iceland and places like that. But no, ice skates, any too much momentum, I'm going to go.
Too much speed.
Yeah, could never crack skateboards. Couldn't do that.
Yeah, I could never. I used to try and stand on one, and I was just like, oh god, and it's like suddenly balance is everything. Oh shit, and I was like. I used to ride a bike a fair amount, but then when I was 8, so it's year 4, I was racing with my dad down Western Shore, and we used to ride around this go-kart track, and we used to race around that, and I just pedalled around a corner, skidded, I fell straight off, and my shin snapped around the main middle bar, and it broke my, I think it's tibia and fibula, or fibia and tibula.
See, all of the crashes and everything I've had, I've only ever broken one bone, and that was one of my toes. That's it.
Pretty lucky. I've broken quite a few of my toes just by I've stubbed my toe and broken toes.
This was on the backs of lorries. They've got giant bits of rubber for when they're reversing up against the docking bays. Yeah. One of those had come off, and a 7.5-ton van in front of me. This is while I was on my motorbike. It ran it over, and if you've ever kicked a rugby ball, you know how wildly that bounces around all over the place. Yeah, this was that bit of rubber bouncing down the road at head height. I'm doing 60 miles an hour. It's probably going backwards now at about 20, 30 miles an hour.
Jesus Christ.
Just bouncing down the road, and I'm swerving all over the way trying to get out of the way, and it's smacked the front of my bike, which thankfully has taken most of the kind of kinetic energy out of it, and it smacked me in my foot. And obviously adrenaline, I didn't really feel it. Yeah. And I managed to get another kind of 20, 30 miles away from where I lived and realised that my tyre was broken, and it's on the foot that you use your back brake for. And the back brake is very essential on a motorbike.
Yeah.
So if you've got to brake suddenly, you can't touch the front. Otherwise, if you're
You
going
flip
around a
over.
corner, you're going to high side and fall off. So I had to get all the way back Southampton along 60 miles an hour road with just my front brake, which was fun. Then I went on holiday the day after with a broken foot.
Jesus Christ.
Kind of essentially a walking tour of Scotland with a broken foot, which was fun. Getting overtaken by my 85-year-old grandmother. I was so old in my life.
Oh man, yeah, because I've when I broke my leg, it was that shook me. From I used to be super confident with riding bikes, and then it was just because at such a young age, and I was quite a fat kid anyway. And then after that, I got even fatter and less athletic. And it's only really been the last few years I've really been athletic in any way. And I wouldn't even call myself athletic. I just do exercise essentially and go indoor rock climbing every now and then. And it's like, it's with bikes as well. I'd like to ride a bike again, but obviously I'd have to buy one. And then it's just like, I've got a car and I like walking places, but it's like, because I drive, I know how stupid people are when it comes to driving, and I see how people drive around cyclists, and it's like, it's ridiculous. It's just like, all you got to do is give them a good amount of room, because the thing with cyclists is, if you hit them, they're never going to damage your car. Maybe a slight scratch.
Yeah, a bit of a scratch.
Like,
broken wing mirror, maybe. That's
it's like,
unless they go straight into the front of you.
Well, yeah, exactly. You just smash your windscreen off. But it's like, you're never going to do any substantial damage. So it's like, just be careful around them. It's not difficult. I mean,
you're in a car made of metal, surrounded by airbags, and you have an engine, which means you don't have to pedal uphill in pissing rain.
Have you ever been knocked off your bike by a car, like as in push bike?
No. I've been very close, but I've been cycling on the road since I was 8 years old. I've learnt not to trust anyone.
Well, yeah, so I drive, and I've been driving since I was 18-ish, I think it was. So I've been, since I started working at Whizbits, I've been driving for 5 or 6 years now, I think. And I think it's 5. And it's like, I've almost been in 3 collisions, none of which were to do with me, but there's a roundabout, where up there where the big cheese used to be. It was basically, I was coming this way from where the Tesco stuff is, like that, and they were coming out like that, basically, and I need to go down that hill. So for people, obviously everyone's just listening, it's like, what the hell is going on? I'm coming out one exit, and then there's 2 more exits.
Yeah, you're coming off the second exit from where you are.
Yeah, and they're coming out the first exit.
And it's not completely a roundabout, it's kind of an oval shape.
Yeah, it's quite peculiar, but there's and there's also this fence thing in the way of the exits, so people can't see properly, specifically so they don't speed. But
so try and make people slow down, but it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work
because there's
at all.
tiny little gaps, and people judge it from those tiny little gaps.
Yep, and there was a guy.
It that much harder.
Oh, it's so annoying. But it's like, there's this guy who's in this 4x4. It's like a silver Jeep thing, and I was playing. You obviously get those moments where you just kind of go in autopilot mode, or you're for a moment, just a split second, you're not paying full attention. You scratch your nose, or you change the aircon, anything like that. And it's like, obviously, when you go around a roundabout, you're not meant to do any of those things. Yeah. But it's like, I was paying full attention, and I was looking in the right place, and I braked slightly more than I would have normally, and then this car shot straight out, and I was like, he didn't see me. And I had to brake, as soon as I saw the front of his car, I had to brake, and I just missed him. And I was just like, if I was half a second earlier, this was when I had a Corsa.
Completely T-boned you.
Well, he would have gone over. I think he would have legit, because it's such a big car, I think he'd actually driven over my car and crushed me in it. Yeah, and it was like, there's no need, ever, to go that fast and not stop at a roundabout. How can you ever be in that much of a rush?
I've said for years that they should put kind of speed bumps on the entrances to roundabouts, just to slow people down.
That's a really good idea, actually.
3-tiered speed bumps, slowly getting bigger. So kind of mini one, secondary one, and then kind of big kind of final one. Because people speeding on roundabouts is where most people get cut up. Because people just treat it as a slight corner, but it's not. You've got 3, 4, 5, 6 queues of traffic joining this one tiny little area, and everyone's trying to do 40 mile an hour or whatever. It just doesn't work.
So you need fucking hurry.
Yeah, you've got an engine. Slow down. It doesn't matter. If you're in a city, you're gonna get caught by bloody lights anyway.
Well, that's it. Well, Southampton's got so many lights in it. I think it's got per square mile. It's got it's either the highest or one of the highest.
Yeah, outside of the centre of London, I think we are. Yeah, the highest.
Yeah, and it's like, you drive around Southampton and you always traffic lights, and it is frustrating. I understand, but the trick is that just if you speed everywhere, you're not actually going to make any time because the traffic lights even you out and that sort of thing. And also,
you're just burning that much more fuel.
Exactly.
And just ruining your brakes even more and all that. So it's just going to cost you more money in the long run.
Exactly. So it's just like, it costs more money. It's more risky. You're not saving any time. And I'd rather go at like a consistent 25 without really having to stop much than go 40 stop. 40 stop.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Just wearing everything out and causing risk of hitting people and all this.
It's so triggering. And when I'm driving and I just see people like, you get people who overtake you in like suburban areas. I'm going 30 and people overtake me and I'm like, I'm literally going the speed limit.
Yeah.
There's one lane of traffic either way and like, how can you be in that much of a rush? And you see them zoom off and then you just turn a corner and they're in front of you.
Yeah, they're in front of you at the
traffic
lights with 4 cars in front of them.
Yeah.
So they don't overtake them anymore.
Yeah, Southampton's so busy as well. Yeah. The only time I ever say I'm okay with people speeding is if it's really late at night. I don't like people doing it, but if it's really late at night and they're speeding a bit, I can I can understand because like most of the time there's no cars around, you know. So it's like
just don't do it on weekends when there's pissed people everywhere.
Well, exactly, that's what I don't want to do. But it's like motorways are probably the only time where I'd say speeding because it's not motorways is a slightly different dynamic because obviously when you drive, when there's no people about, you only have to worry about cars. Especially at night time, if it's night time you're on the motorway, you barely see any cars. You could go 100 and it doesn't matter.
Well, people do that during the daytime anyway. So.
Well, that's the problem. That's what I mean. But like I go, you know, the motorways are 70, you know, and I generally go somewhere between 70 and 80 depending. You know, if it's really busy, obviously I don't. But that's generally how fast I go. If you go like a really long distance, like when I went to Alton Towers before, if any police ask me this question, the answer's going to be no, sir, I did not speed. But when I went to Alton Towers,
it was no proof of it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, exactly, it's just hearsay. It's I'm just making it up to try and seem cool. I went to Alton Towers, and I think it's about a 3 or 4 hour drive away. And and I stayed over there. And I stayed over there one time, and then we got free tickets to come back because just after that whole, you know, when the roller coaster crashed and the person did their leg, we were meant to go there that day. We actually went there the week after because of scheduling. We had something popped up, but that was the plan initially, the Smiler. And so we went there. The Smiler was obviously closed and stuff, and everyone got like free tickets basically who went in. And so we went back there. So when I went back there, where I wasn't staying, it was like, I want to get there for the day and come back. Yeah. And it was just like the drive is like 4 hours, but if you're going 70 the whole time. Now, if you drive about 90, and obviously you get up quite early in the morning and stuff, so there's barely anyone around. If you drive 90 per hour, you gain 20 miles, obviously, because the 20 miles per hour more.
But you're not doing a constant 90. There's traffic slowing you down.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, but if there's not many people, if you're doing it at night and stuff, you can get the consistent.
Yeah.
So,
but during the daytime,
during the day, it's pointless, and it's also it is dangerous with the more people about. And I'm not saying people should speed, but it's like on the motorway, it's more understandable if in the right context at the right times. Yeah. And also long distance, you can actually save like a good amount of time speeding.
Well,
like
depends what time you go.
Well, exactly. But on the right time you can. But generally on the motorway, but 100% in the cities, you don't save any time speeding at all. And also, if your journey is 20 minutes, how much time do you think you could actually save? Like 20-minute drive. To save anything remotely substantial, even if we said 5 minutes, right? Yeah. You'd have to go, you know.
God.
Well,
you'd have to run like half the red lights, overtake everyone you see, and be doing a constant 60 miles an hour.
And when do you ever need 5 minutes that urgently? No. The only times is if someone is literally dying, and in which case you get an ambulance or some shit. Yeah. And also, if you're late for something important. But if you're late for something important, that's your fucking fault. Yeah. I could be late at times. Everyone's late at certain times. But it's like, you shouldn't speed and put people's lives at risk just because you made a mistake and you fucked up to save 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? If it's that important, call the place. Like I went to a job interview. I didn't get the job, so maybe that's why. But I went to a job interview and I called them up. It was the place on Google Maps told me it was in a different place than it was. Yeah. And they'd moved in similar area, but slightly different. And we're really sorry. Blah, blah. And I was like, I might be 5 minutes late then. No, that's fine. If you call up early and you give them some time, you say, like, I'm going to be 5 minutes late. Okay, fine. But if you don't say anything and you're like, I can make it. Then you get there, you're all hot and flustered and you're 5 minutes late. It's like, well, you didn't plan properly. You're a prat and you probably sped while you were here. So it's like... People, they have to ruin everything. They just trigger me. Like we have the potential to be so amazing, and we're just not.
Yeah, can't work together. That's the problem.
Yeah, we always focus on what makes everyone different, and it's like we're so similar. Like everyone is so similar. Like there's so few people we talk to who wouldn't want healthcare for free. Okay, you know, it's people like, I don't want to pay money for that. It's like, okay, but do you want to be in a car crash and have to worry about a billion other things as well as money or anything like this? It's like, generally speaking, most people are like, you know, we'd like good education, we'd like good healthcare, and generally I want to be able to provide for my family. There's very few people who argue with that, yet we somehow still these tiny little things. Yeah, and it's just like everyone's so like, oh, I'm on the left and I'm on the right. It's like most answers are in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I was going to say with like the Jeremy Corbyn thing. Like I supported Jeremy Corbyn in the election. I think he's one of the few politicians I trust, but who knows? But even him, I didn't agree with him on everything. I don't have to.
Oh no, not everything.
Like I probably say about 70, maybe 80% of things he said. I was like, yep, got you. But a couple of things I was like, like, but I don't. I have to choose him or obviously Conservatives, and I agree way more with him than Conservatives. But it's like there's so few options for the middle.
Yeah,
and
you know, the Liberals are not going to get into power.
What as
after, in the Liberal Democrats, because what they did with the students, and all that they're not getting into power for quite a while. I think the last time they were in power was kind of like.
Well, yeah, it's
1930 or something like that.
We promise not to have student loans, things go up. We'll make sure that's going to be our one thing. Don't you worry.
Fees won't go up whatsoever.
Definitely not. That's the one thing we promise. Oh, I'm sorry, guys, they're going to go up. It's like, literally the one thing. Oh, not the one thing, but that's the main thing. It's like you fucked up. You had your chance. That's it.
Yeah.
But moving on. I just want to say we're getting near the hour mark now, so if you want to take a break at any point, you're welcome to. Cause...
No, I'm all good.
Okay, cool. I was going to say, with if I can delve a little bit into your heart condition, if you don't mind me asking about that sort of stuff, because obviously, well, you can, I think as long as I've been hanging out with you, I think, because I think I've been hanging out with Justin since I was 18, which is about 5 or 6 years, but
I've only had this condition now for 2.25 years.
Yeah, I knew it was about 2 years, but I remember like I hung out with you every now and then. But obviously, when I was younger, I didn't hang out with Justin as much.
Yeah.
But then as I've gotten older, me and Justin hang out a lot more. So obviously, you can't drink caffeine.
No, can't have caffeine.
Yeah. And, so do you want to have a vague description of what you've sort of got?
Yeah, it's called heart block, specifically 2nd degree heart block, Mobitz type 1. There's yeah,
just smack the mic. That's me.
Yeah, there's 3 different types of heart block. You got 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degree. 1st degree happens quite a lot in athletes and people like that. It's kind of thickening of the muscles in the heart, so the electrical signals in the heart can't pass through as well. And 1st degree doesn't even really give any symptoms whatsoever. 2nd degree, what I've got, it's broken down into 2 types: Mobitz type 1, also known as Wenkenbach, and Mobitz type 2. Mobitz type 1 shouldn't necessarily give you symptoms, but I'm one of the unlucky ones that does get all these symptoms.
Right.
And
but is it not potentially beneficial if they knew you could catch it? Like, is it not you catch it, but if your symptoms show up, is that not potentially beneficial because they can identify it, or is it?
Well, it just fucks you up somewhat, because quite often the symptoms will kind of replicate that of a heart attack, so that's not always good. And it mainly affects me when I'm trying to sleep. Cycling around is perfectly fine, because what it does is it slows my heart rate down and causes me to skip heartbeats.
Right.
So when I'm at rest, when I'm sat down, it's happening at the moment a little bit. I can feel me kind of skipping beats, occasional bit of palpitations, and it's perfectly fine. I'm sat there perfectly fine.
Okay.
But other times, it can probably mess me up, spinning out all this, that, and the other. But as long as I've got a good bit of cardio behind me, and that's what I do, the job that I do, is I feel perfectly fine. But trying to sleep is horrendous. You go into some amazing rhythms when that happens. You kind of the one that seems to mess me up the most is having 2 heartbeats, skipping 1, having 1 heartbeat, skipping 1, and that. So it's 2 miss 1, 1 miss 1, 2 miss 1, 1 miss 1, and that seems to mess me up the most. And my heart rate would be probably around about 45. As we're sat here now, we've eaten not too long ago and all that, talking and all that, so we're probably around about 65, 70.
Yeah.
So imagine if your heart rate just drops now by kind of 20 beats.
Yeah.
That's going to mess you up a bit. The lowest I've seen my heart rate is 36 beats per minute, and that's low. That is.
Well, yeah, that's almost 1 every 2 seconds.
Yeah. That's,
how does that feel out of interest? Because obviously I'm, fingers crossed, at the moment healthy with my heart.
Yeah,
so.
it's a hard one to describe, really, because when the skip happens, because with an actual heartbeat, you've got different waves in it. You've got the P wave, which is the beginning bit, the QRS complex, that's the big blip, and the T wave afterwards, which is the kind of recovery.
Right.
And my P wave's fire, but then because you've got different nodes in your heart, I won't remember them. It's the
I wouldn't expect you to.
No, I used to, but I've removed that with neurological information.
Yeah.
The P wave starts at the top node, and then it doesn't connect to the next node, which causes the QRS complex, and so the T wave after that. And so you can feel the initial kind of firing. It's a kind of the slight contraction of the heart. Then you don't get the big beat, so you've got the dun of the heart.
Yeah.
I get the kind of just a little. It's not the full kind of dun.
Yeah.
It's just kind of half of that, and when that kind of pause happens, it's a weird one to describe the kind of feeling of it. I feel it mostly, really, to be honest, in my throat. I feel a kind of weird kind of yeah, like I say, it's a hard one to explain. Really,
I can imagine anything internal is very hard to explain.
But the heartbeat after the skip, you feel that one. That kind of hits you quite hard. It feels like somebody's punched your ribcage from the inside. They can be pretty savage. Some of them they can properly throw you off, but most of the time it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it can be a weird feeling when you're drifting off, because when you're in that level of almost falling asleep, time seems to kind of slow down a bit.
And that's the end of part 1. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. As I said at the start, part 2 will be released next week. I think I said that at the start. But we'll continue the conversation about Jack's heart condition, his heart block. And we also get into loads of things. That part 2 is, in my opinion, better than part 1. And not that there's anything wrong with part 1. I think this part was really, really good chat. But part 2, we start getting into a lot more things. We get into climate change, the technological revolution. We talk about sort of animals and eating meat and factory farming, and like sort of the thing with like the Chinese festival of eating dogs compared to factory farming. We get into that, and veganism. We get into fungi, as in mushrooms and whatnot. Consciousness, the universe in general, ancient civilization, aliens, shamanic rituals, the stoned ape theory, loads of stuff. So it's a much more broad podcast next week's one. I'm trying to figure out what we're even going to name it, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I suppose, next week. I think that's it, really. Oh, I was going to say, I think in this episode at the start, me and Jack spoke about our dads a bit, and I think we talk about it a little bit more in part 2 as well. But as I think I said when I was talking to Jack, either in this part or the next part, I wanted to do a podcast with my brother Rob, talking about my dad, because obviously in a lot of these podcasts I've mentioned the fact that he died of cancer, and I do talk about it obviously with people, but I don't delve too far into it. So I'm aiming to release one of those soon, maybe on Father's Day. That might be the aim if I can do that. So it'll be like a special. I won't have a cut, I wouldn't have any promos on it or anything. I just have the whole chat, however long it takes, and just me and Rob, that's my brother's name, talking openly about that sort of thing, of what we went through, sort of what happened with Dad, just basically all the details. So if anyone's interested in that, obviously it's not going to be the cheeriest podcast in the world, but for some people who may be going through similar things, whether or not a family member's ill or has already passed or is worried about these sorts of things in the future, I feel like it could give people a bit of closure, and I'm happy to talk about it. As people may have guessed from this, I'm an open book. There's really no part of my life I won't talk about, so long as it isn't directly to do with someone else. For example, I've talked in brief about past girlfriends, but I wouldn't give any real specific details about them or anything like that. It's me. Anything that's basically purely about me, I'm happy to talk about. So also if you guys do, if there's anything I do talk about and anyone does want to find out more about me, you can either contact me on Twitter or Instagram or email me or anything, and I can just tell you, or I can always do a podcast about it depending on what the subject is, or I can just bring it up in a chat with someone else. So if there's anything anyone wants me to talk about or discuss or anything about me, then yeah, just let me know. I think that's the end for my post-show ramble, really. So, as I said, part 2 will be out next week. Like us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Last week's episode was the 2-parter with Molly, which I really recommend everyone checks that out. She's a creative collaborator. She organises festivals. She does loads of crazy cool things. It all gets detailed in the podcast. So, and she's a delight to talk to as well. Not that Jack wasn't, but, that's not really much else I can say, otherwise I'm just going to dig myself into a deeper hole. So yeah, thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it, especially anyone listening this far into the end. And I'll talk to you next week.